Welcome, world. Welcome to another installation of Creative Perceptionz, where your dreams meet your realities. Today, we're going sports edition. We're going to do our weekly nightcap of sports. The last time we talked, the WNBA semifinals hadn't started yet. We didn't know who was going to be in that round, and now we're 3 games in, or about to be in game 3. So we're going to talk about the WNBA. We're going to talk about the Dame Lillard trade. We're going to talk about Colorado. We're going to talk about the WNBA and the possible expansion of another team. This is going to be a quick nightcap. Again, I don't want to talk your ear off, but this is something you can watch if you're at work, or something you can ride to work listening to. So again, welcome to Creative Perceptionz. Let's get into it. First thing on the agenda, Dame Lillard finally traded. Not going to go into a long segue, or I'm not going to give you a long story or spiel. Everybody's covered it. I'm going to kind of talk about it from some of the perspective that I'm thinking. Dame Lillard, we thought he was going to go to Miami. I thought that this trade was definitely going to drag out until around training camp-ish. But walking around at work, and I'm looking at Instagram, and I just see a picture of breaking news Dame, and first thing I had to look, is this the burner account for Woj, or is this the real thing? And of course, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski did break the story, as always, either him or Sham Shanaria. Shout out to them for getting it done. Well, there's some others too. Ramona Shelburne is another one. So everybody's working extremely hard to crack these stories. But Dame Lillard, so 3-team trade that finally got it done. We kind of had some rumblings that we knew it was going to be a 2-team or 3-team, but more so 3-team to get it done expeditiously. So you're looking at the Bucks, obviously, as the receiving end of the trade that won the trade. You're looking at Portland, which you could argue they won the trade too. And you're also looking at the Suns, who, everybody's winning. I think Dame, obviously, everybody wanted him to go to Miami, or that was the fairy tale story. But I think he actually comes out big on this one, because I think if you go to Miami, yes, you have Jimmy Buckets, yes, you have Bam Adebayo, but you would have had to gut everything else, whether it was Tyler Hero, a few picks. You already lost Gabe to the Lakers in free agency. So I think Milwaukee was better because you have a 3-headed behemoth already in Chris Middleton, if healthy. A lot of, the last 2 years he's been trying to get his legs together, especially his knee. You have Giannis, obviously, and you have Dame. You have Brooke Lopez, you have Bobby Portis, and you have some other supporting cast as well, too. Yes, they do have a new head coach, but if David Blatt, Mike Brown, if those are some coaches that can get you to the NBA Finals early, why not? I think, or the postseason. So I'm thinking this will be a better trade for Dame, because again, yes, they may lose some defensive prowess, but not really, because of the length of Giannis, Chris Middleton's defensive potential and current skill set. Brooke Lopez is still going to clog the lane. Bobby Portis, he's going to give you the energy. I think their defense, yes, it takes a step back because Drew Holiday was a lockdown defender and somebody who can get you 20 or plus, but Dame is a different type of offensive level. So I think the Bucks was the best fit for him. Yeah, it's not Miami, it's not Destin, but that's the closest he's going to get to a ring right now. And you're in the East too. So when you think about the East, a lot of teams are rebuilding, or you have the top 3. You have Boston, you have Miami, but Miami is kind of hit or miss. You have the Sixers. Hopefully this James Harden saga plays out and he just stays there and toughs it out. I know he wants to go elsewhere, but James, you've bold guarded your way out of like a few franchises. Just please stay in Philly. It's a perfect fit. You just got to figure it out. We believe in you. But yeah, you have Boston, you have Philly, you have Miami, obviously you have Milwaukee. Clearly there are a few other teams that you can kind of plug in, but those are the 3 teams that you think contenders. So I think Dame, he's going to add a lot to this team. I'm interested to see how it's going to go out at first, or how it's going to work. But one of the players to keep an eye on from the residual effects of this trade is Drew Holiday. Yes, unfortunately, he wanted to retire a Buck. We've seen this story before. Unfortunately, that's not the story. Right now, there's a few teams that are buzzing. The Boston Celtics, which would be a huge pickup, especially since Marcus Smart is now in Memphis. Didn't really like that trade, but neither here nor there. Then you have to look at the Clippers. Even though they got Russ back on a veteran minimum, you can kind of still see like, yeah, we trust Russ, but if something else comes up, we're going to look into that. Does this push Russ back into the being a 6 man again, like kind of in LA, and then somehow he gets bought out or traded at the trade deadline? Who knows? You have the Lakers that are looking at Drew Holiday. That will be an extremely great pickup. And worst case scenario, you have to trade D'Angelo Russell, who is actually just signed a 2-year extension or who's on a 2-year deal now. That's easy trade weight. And you can kind of dish him off to a mid-level team, a rebuilding team, or another contender who may want his services. So Drew Holiday would be a good pickup for any of those franchises. It'll be interesting to see where he goes, whether Portland's able to trade him or a buyout will be reached. I don't think a buyout would be the more feasible option. So you have to kind of give some time, but whoever Portland, multiple sources have reported that Portland would like to move on from him. So watch out that. I think Milwaukee is clearly in the lead in the Eastern Conference. Do I think that puts them in the finals or winning the finals? Not yet. The West is too deep. When I think about it, I think this is LeBron's last 1 to 2 year window of possibly winning a championship, especially the way that Rob Pelinka constructed the current team. He did a great job because if he didn't make those trade deadline adjustments, he might have been out of there. I think you also have to consider they may not be like a clear favorite, but you have to consider Dallas. You definitely have to look at the Golden State Warriors. As long as they have Clay, Dre, and Steph Curry, they can plug in everything else. When you think of the West, another team this may be a little bit, obviously they're the defending champions. You can't write them off. Will they be as clear favorite and locked in? Who knows? Memphis, they may take a step back, but they still have a possibility to be able to. The Clippers, if healthy, they can definitely be a contending force. So NBA race is shifting up. I think Milwaukee is definitely holding on to the first slot in the East. West, it's always up in the air. I do, for the sake of Chris Paul, hope he gets his first ring, but we'll see. All right, so we're gonna slide over to the right for the WNBA. I've been so excited to talk about the WNBA because there's a lot of rumblings going on, but we're gonna go in order. I'm not gonna try to get excited on myself. The MVP race, that has been a controversial topic. For me, you had the 3 candidates that kind of led the way from the second half of the season, if not longer. You have Alyssa Thomas from the Connecticut Sun. It just gets it done every night. You have Breanna Stewart from the Liberty, and then of course you have Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces. Now, the way that the MVP voting works in the WNBA is you have 60 journalists and broadcasters who get to basically rate or vote on a player. You have a certain point scale for first place, second place, third place, and fourth place. The numbers were really close. I believe Breanna finished first. Alyssa Thomas finished second, and Asia Wilson finished third. Somebody voted or rated her voted number 4 or scored her fourth place, which really which put her in third place. A lot of people are kind of upset because some people feel Asia Wilson should be the clear favorite to win MVP, which I think it should have been close. I love Breanna Stewart. I love her game, but I would have went with Asia more. And it kind of makes me I want to know who voted or who scored her in fourth place. I think there's no way in the world another defensive player of the year award trophy in her belt. The way that she catapulted and continues to elevate and motivate the Aces, especially after Candace Parker goes down with a foot injury. I'm not understanding how you score her fourth place. Whoever that was, I'm not gonna say donkey of the day because I don't want to bite or copy off of anybody, but that was real corny. So I'm not sure who voted fourth place. Stand on your decision, but other reporters have said, show yourself, please. That's really bad because if she doesn't get that fourth place or that fourth place score, she may have been 1 or 2 points either tied with Breanna Stewart or under, and it would have been a closer race. It's not to discredit Alyssa Thomas, who you could really argue that she deserves it too, because the Connecticut Sun have been in the championship with multiple times within the last 5 years, maybe 6. And you can't make that argument that they're there without her. They've lost multiple players, whether it's Jonquel Jones, they've lost Kurt Miller, they've lost Jasmine Thomas. There's so many players that they've lost, and Alyssa Thomas still keeps that team together. Yes, you can look at her stat line and say she doesn't deserve MVP, but that's she's the most valuable player. If she's not in that lineup, it's not to discredit Dewana Bonner. It's not to discredit Rebecca Allen. It's not to discredit Natisha Heidemann. It's not to discredit anybody on that roster. But if Alyssa Thomas is not there, they do not make the postseason. Granted, you can make the same argument if A'ja Wilson's not in the roster, they don't make the playoffs either. They don't even win the championship last year. So, I mean, granted, MVP is normally a majority of the regular season, and I don't care what people say. It's a smidgen of the playoffs because the voting doesn't finish until legit like a few weeks into the playoffs. Breanna Stewart, again, great season, several 40-piece games and chicken dinner. But I'm not saying they made the playoffs without her. Now, if they go to the finals, that's the first time they've been to the finals since 2001 or 2002. With Becky Hammon at the helm at point guard. Again, no knock to Breanna Stewart, but she's a tremendous talent. One of the very few WNBA athletes or athletes in general that's recovered from an ACL or an Achilles tear, and then comes up and lights it up and then wins the MVP. So I'm happy for her, but I think something's got to change with the voting because there's no way that A'ja Wilson should have finished last. Or there's no way that it shouldn't have been close to a gridlock 3-way tie at least. Yeah, I feel for A'ja Wilson, but Alyssa Thomas deserved it. The Connecticut Sun are not in this conversation. They're not tied 1-1 with the New York Liberty if she's not in the roster. And it kind of breaks your heart to hear her say in the conference, I'm used to being snubbed, because I really want Connecticut to win. I'm a Mystics fan at heart, but Alyssa Thomas, ultimate competitor, super sportsmanlike, but she should have got the MVP. And there's no way that A'ja Wilson should have finished last. I don't know how that mathematically. I get mathematically how, but whoever voted gave her a 4th place for A'ja Wilson for one of the scores. I don't know, but Alyssa Thomas should have definitely been the MVP. You do not make the playoffs without her. So it's hard to say snubs, but I didn't understand it. So we'll revisit that and then stop attacking Cheryl Swoop. She is the god. That I don't like to compare WNBA to NBA, but again, everybody's compared her being the WNBA Michael Jordan, like the Michael Jordan of women's basketball. Like, let's not attack legends. Like, what are we doing here? Because some of you haven't played like a lot of us haven't played Division I college or pros. How are you going to go against a great that's won 4 titles, 3 gold Olympic medals? I'm just saying. Neither here nor there. If there's no Houston Comets, there's no WNBA. The expansion doesn't continue to go on after 1997. Neither here nor there. But again, I think Alyssa Thomas should have had it, but we'll go on before I get upset. All right, so you have the postseason. You have the Aces that are up 2-0 over the Dallas Wings, and you have the New York Liberty and Connecticut Sun that are tied 1 apiece. Liberty, Sun, that can go either way. The Sun came out and smacked them game 1, and then the Liberty came back. They could have lost that game, but it kind of seemed like the Sun gave out of gas. But then they're like, also, this is chess, not checkers. We'll see you game 3. Not saying they pulled the towel or they gave up. That game could have went either way, but Connecticut did what they were supposed to do. They came and they stole a game at home on the road. That's all you can ask. That series can go either way. I do think the champion comes out of that round. Just gonna say, I think the champion comes out of that round. Actually, no, that's a lie. I'm taking that back right now. That's cap. No pun intended. But no, I think it's all about matchups. I clearly think the Aces are gonna go on to beat the Dallas Wings, who are for real and who have improved drastically. I think Dallas they match up with Las Vegas, but they don't take advantage of the boards when they do get second chance opportunities or when they rebound and they turn the ball over too much and the shot selection is too insurmountable to overcome. But Dallas is here to stay. I'm interested to see what they do over the off season. And they do have Diamond DeShields. She was out a knee injury, and then she's still overcoming like a life-changing injury, like from her spinal cord procedure that she had a few years back. If they get back Diamond DeShields and bring her back into the fold, it's a wrap. That's a complete team. Book it. But for this year, I see the Aces advancing back to the finals. I think if the Aces get New York, That's going to be a tough matchup. If the Aces get Connecticut, that's going to be a tough matchup. I think the champion is going to come out of the Connecticut. Whoever wins the Connecticut New York series is going to be the champion, WNBA champions. But that remains to be seen. All right. The story that I've been excited the most about, The Athletic, ESPN, and other sources have indicated that Joe Lacob and the Golden State Warriors are on the verge of bringing a WNBA expansion team that will be affiliated in the Bay Area or will be in the Bay Area. That is colossal. Joseph Lacob, one of the owners of the Golden State Warriors, he had a hand in the ABL, American Basketball League, before they collapsed. So he's had experience with ownership over women's professional sports. This is a very huge deal. Right now, the WNBA only has 12 teams. Originally, with its inception, I believe it came over with 8 teams in 97, and it's grown. The last expansion team is the Atlanta Dream, who made the postseason this year. So this will be great. You have a lot of naysayers that say the WNBA doesn't do this and that. The WNBA does phenomenal considering that it doesn't get the promotion that it deserves from its counterparts. Neither here nor there. But this expansion team will be huge. The Golden State Warriors are great. Their ticket sales, their merchandising has improved and increased every year. They won 4 championships within the last decade, or actually 6-7 years. No, wait, they won their championship in 2015. So within the last 8 years, they won 4 titles. They're not going to have any issue with branding. They just opened up their new arena, the Chase Arena, which is amazing. Been there, got to see Steph Curry last year play while I was out there for work. The WNBA, that brand will build itself. Oakland is a very inclusive city with a lot of diversity, inclusion. So I don't think there'll be any difficulty selling that. You don't have to worry about trying to find a venue. You already have a basketball stadium. You don't have to worry about trying to find a capital. Joseph Lacob has plenty of money. If the team is approved by the WNBA Board of Governors and Kathy Engelbert and company, they will practice in Oakland at the headquarters where the Warriors played. I got to stay at that hotel. It's pretty cool. And then their games will be at the Chase Arena. So everything is already in place. Normally, when you have to establish a team, you have to get the political hand of approval. You have to find the money. You have to find the venue. They already have all that. And then you have an owner that has experience. Now, will everything go perfect if approved? No, absolutely not. But I think that's a good blueprint and a good team to have an affiliate / counterpart. So I'm excited for that. Again, it hasn't been finalized. It's still in the signing and approval stages, but if this is approved, it's going to be colossal for the WNBA, and Kathy Engelbert will be one team short of her 2025 expansion goal. I think this will be a tremendous upside. This will also make it 13 teams in the league. And a lot of times when you create a new team, everybody worries about, well, where are you going to get the players from? Is there enough talent? There's more than enough talent, because not every player that declares for the draft out of college for the WNBA, not everybody remains on the roster. Not everybody makes the roster. Some people just get accepted to training camp. Some people don't even make it to training camp. Some people have to play overseas. So if this gets approved, you're going to be able to build a roster. Now, will they be competitive overnight? Absolutely not. But I believe Joseph Lacob and company, they can get that done. It will be interesting to see who they start vetting for presidents, for coaches. Again, hasn't been approved, but you can see it's exciting because expansion is needed. The more teams you have and the more markets, the more you get to sell the brand, right? I think another team or another area that you would consider is the Philadelphia. You can think about Philadelphia. Another city that you can think of. I try to stay away from Miami, but if done right, it could work. You may want to consider, again, this is not necessarily a popular one. You may want to consider having another team in Houston. I mean, you already got the Dallas Wings. There's other places that you can consider or you can maneuver. So I'm interested to see what can be done and what's going to be done. Maybe look at, since we already have Atlanta, maybe look at North Carolina, Charlotte. Another team. You have a lot of professional athletes that are from the Charlotte area. It's up and coming. It's supposed to be the new Atlanta. So it's a lot we can look into. But we'll come back to that. All right, so moving on. The last thing we're going to talk about today is the Colorado Buffaloes. So they did get smoked against Oregon. However, nobody promised anything. Deion didn't promise a Pac-12 championship. He didn't promise an undefeated season. He just said we're coming, which they're here. He's building a team. He's doing a great job. He had over 50 plus transfer or new students and transfers that weren't on the roster last year, and they're 3-1. Why are we pressing this man so hard? I'm excited to see what they do against USC. They're supposed to have another star-studded cast. Again, after this year, make no mistake, no matter how they finish, they're going to have an amazing recruiting class. It's only a matter of time. But however he is building the blueprint, there's a lot of what happens if he goes to the NFL. Deion does not want to go to the NFL. He likes working with young men that want to learn. He wants to help young men be better men. So tune into Colorado's game this weekend. I think it's going to be star-studded. We don't know what the outcome's going to be. It may not be a close game. It may be a close game. You never know. But you get possible Heisman. You get Shador, and you get Shador, excuse me, Sanders, and then you also get Caleb Williams, 2 potential Heisman candidates. So it's interesting to see what we're going to do and what we're going to see. Again, I'm not going to be before you all night. That's just the nightcap, some of the amazing sports stories that I'm hearing around the world. Also, MLB baseball, check it out. We'll be back soon. Our next interview is coming soon.